Welcome back to LDB Games. I'm Lord Darth Balls. Today this is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video, and this video, guys, is going to be the first part in a multi-part series designed to teach you how to build the best balanced team for pretty much any content in this game. When it comes to building the most effective and well-balanced team, there are three key factors to keep in mind when you're deciding which champions to put into play. The first is sustainability. How do you plan on keeping your team alive? The second is control. How do you plan on managing what your enemy champions can do to your team? And the third is damage. How do you plan on putting out enough damage to take down the enemy champions before they take down yours? So let's talk about sustainability. When it comes to keeping your team alive, there are a number of different ways to do this in the game. You'll have champions that provide healing, cleansing, and or reviving. Champions like Arbiter, Bad L, Scylla the Drakes, a top tier legendary that you get for free. Duchess has a revive. Doom Priest, Mausoleum Mage both have cleanses and heals. Grush has his heals. Reliquary Tender, Apothecary. Then you'll have champions with protection style buffs that they place on your team. Buffs like Strengthen, Increase Defense, Veil or Perfect Veil, Ally Protection, Unkillable, and block debuffs. And then you'll have champions that place debuffs on the opposing team to help reduce the incoming damage. One of the most important debuffs in the game, decrease attack. Stag Knight has an AoE on his A2, Cerise has it on her A3, which is an AoE, Tyrell has it on his A1. You'll also have buffs that help heal your team. So Grush not only has a decreased attack and decreased crit damage, but he also has his Leech on his A1, which helps bring some healing back to your team as well. And Grush is another one of the top tier free champions that you can get in this game. So now let's talk about control. Some of the best teams in this game are teams that never let the opposing champions get their turn. And when it comes to controlling the fight, there's three different ways that you can go about doing it. The first would be to have a speed buffer in your team, right? Champions like Apothecary, or the new guy from Doom Tower, Archmage. These champions will help increase the speed on your team, helping them to stay ahead of the enemy champions. Then you have turn meter manipulation. Champions like Deacon, who has the ability to reduce the enemy turn meters and increase your team's turn meter, right? Arbiter has a turn meter increase. If you have Lysandra, she's one of the best turn meter manipulators in the game. And then you'll have champions that place some type of debuff to control the enemy. Right? Debuffs like decrease speed, slow them down. Debuffs like stun, sleep, or freeze to prevent them from getting their turn. Debuffs like block cooldown skills, or skills that reset the cooldowns of the enemy skills. And even a debuff like block buffs to prevent maybe a counterattack champion from throwing that counterattack up, or preventing an unkillable or a block damage from being placed on the enemy team. The final piece is damage. You could have all the sustainability and all the control in the world, but without the damage to actually take down the enemy champions, you'll be stuck in a game that never ends, right? So how do you maximize the damage that you do? Well, first, there are some debuffs that can help you do it. Debuffs like decreased defense and weaken, two of the most important debuffs in the game for doing damage. Weaken will straight up increase the damage you do, and decreased defense reduces the defense of all the enemy champions so that you do more damage. You'll also have buffs that can increase your damage, right? Increase attack buffs, increase crit damage buffs, and I would even categorize increase crit rate buffs in there. so that you can rework your build, min-max some of the damage, and that walks us into the next piece of maximizing your damage, right? The champions that you pick and the gear that you decide to put on them. So when it comes to deciding which damage dealer to bring into your team, it's important to understand who your target is going to be. Are you going to be facing waves of enemies? If that's the case, you're going to need to focus on AoE abilities. Kayle is probably one of the best farmers in the game for campaign farming, and any campaign farmer is going to be an excellent candidate for a wave clearer, or a damage dealer that focuses on the waves of enemies. When it comes to facing a boss, you're going to want to look for harder hitting single target skills, right? Gala is a perfect example of a damage dealer that is perfect for a boss. She has these huge hits that ignore percentages of the target's defense. They're all single targets, so when you're clearing a wave, it takes forever to go through one at a time, but when you're facing a boss, these hits start adding up. Champions with enemy max HP skills are huge against bosses as well, at least on dungeons 1 to 20, right? Because it takes, the higher the enemy's max HP is, the more damage you can do. Coldheart, another great example of enemy max HP. Armiger, probably one of the best uncommons in the game with an enemy max HP skill. Now I'm going to go through how to gear champions in subsequent videos in this series, but when it comes to gearing an attack-based champion, there's three things that you need to focus on. And that's 100% crit rate and as much attack and crit damage as you can find. If they're a defense-based damage dealer, then you want as much defense and crit damage as possible alongside of that 100% crit rate. So there you have it, guys. The three key factors to consider when building a team for pretty much any content in Raid: sustainability, control, and damage. I'm going to showcase my Dragon 20 team at the end of this video, so stay tuned if you want to check that out. And again, guys, this is the first video in a series of videos meant to help you build the most efficient team in the game. You'll see that my Dragon 20 team doesn't really have much control in it, and what you'll realize is that as you build more damage and you are able to get more damage out of your champions and your gear, control and sustainability will become less important as you can just blow through the waves. If you have trouble with the waves, if I was having trouble with the waves, I would probably take out Skullcrown and put in some type of control champion like Sylar, who I have in a stun set. But with that, guys, I'm Lord Darth Balls. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the raid.